think that sometimes we forget that these celebrities wouldn't be famous without us, and they wouldn't be able to get away with a lot of things they get away with if they weren't famous. Let me explain. Hey y'all, it's me, Keidra, your favorite journalist. Child, this week, it has been so much. Y'all already know. Diddy is locked up. P. Diddy is currently at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center at the time of me recording this video. And he's actually on a live in himself watch. I'm saying that because I don't know what YouTube allows, whatever. Because this is going to go on TikTok too. So I'm like, let me just, they're sensitive over there. So I'll be a little bit sensitive over here. But he's on a live watch, basically, at the time of me recording this. With all this information about Diddy, it's just getting me to think. It has me really thinking like, wow, we really built this person up. We really gave this person this platform as consumers, as music streamers. We were all buying Sean John. We were all buying Ciroc. We really are the ones that paid for Diddy's lifestyle. We're the ones that supported him being able to 1,000 bottles of baby oil, 1,000 bottles, like, I know that people feel weird about cancel culture, but this is why cancel culture is in place and why I'm a firm believer in cancel culture in situations like this. Sometimes people drag it, but when it comes to situations like this and artists like this that are this big, this polarizing, this is why we absolutely need cancel culture, because we should have canceled Diddy a long time ago. It should have been Can't Stop, Won't Stop years ago. He's been doing this for so long and we've all just turned ahead to it. And yeah, no, not anymore. Shout out to Aubrey O'Day. I hope Aubrey is having a good day today because she deserves it. Because Aubrey has been telling us about Diddy for years. She was one of the only women that wasn't afraid to speak out against him and she's been doing it for over a decade at this point. I don't know if it was her level of white privilege that was like, listen, never in the history of life have I had to answer to the black man, and I'm not going to start now. Like, in a way, like, I wonder if that is what is, like, her privilege, her whiteness, if that's really what helped her and gave her the courage and put the battery in her back to be like, absolutely not. Because she's never stayed off of his neck. Her and Wendy Williams. I really wish that we could have got a take from Wendy, because she would have had a field day with this, because she's been telling us about Diddy since the 90s. She's really one of the other women who have been unapologetic and who have just been speaking their mind when it comes to Diddy. And it gets me to wonder, where have all these men been? Oh, except for 50 Cent. 50 Cent. Shout out to 50 Cent today. 50 Cent is a lot of things, but he's also someone that has been on Diddy's neck this entire time. He has always held Diddy's feet to the fire. He's allegedly working on a documentary about everything that's going on with Diddy. I don't know if that's true or not, but allegedly he is. So if he is, kudos to him, because this Diddy situation, we have, as consumers, as followers, as listeners, lovers of hip hop, lovers of his music, his legacy, we're really the ones that helped facilitate this madness. 1,000 bottles of baby oil is crazy, like literally insane. One thing about this that does bother me is how people treat Carisha versus how people treat Cassie. Obviously, we saw the tragic video of what he did with Cassie, and I think that because we saw that, some people who don't believe women in general, right, who don't believe women when they say that this person assaulted me or this person did this to me, they needed to see that video to understand they needed to see that video to see that he was a womanizer. But for someone like me, for someone like a lot of you guys who understand that abuse looks different. Abuse is not just physical abuse. mental abuse, emotional abuse. I'm not here to play oppression Olympics and say which one is worse, but abuse is abuse. And an abuser will always be an abuser, and a master manipulator will always be a master manipulator. And you can't think that Cassie was abused and is abused victim and not look at Carisha in the same light. Because people are like, oh, well, Carisha is famous. She was rich. She's a rapper. We don't know how much money that woman has in her bank account. We don't know her situation. What we do know is that this is a girl who grew up in a very poor area of Miami. We do know that. This is a girl who comes from a broken family, as far as mother being incarcerated, having to raise her siblings, getting pregnant young, having to raise her child. Then the child of her father passed away in a very tragic way. She's trying to navigate stardom, challenging for her. Perfect victim. The perfect victim for Diddy. Just like Cassie was the perfect victim for Diddy, young, beautiful, hungry to be in the entertainment industry, he snatched that up real quick. Easy to manipulate. You can't look at her as a victim and not look at Carisha as a victim as well in the same way. A master manipulator is always going to know who to pick. And master manipulators, they don't keep people around them that they can't manipulate. All of the people around Diddy, he was playing puppeteer. From the security, to his mom, to his friends, to his other baby mamas, to the kids. When you're a master manipulator like Diddy on his scale, you manipulate everyone around you. And including, I guess, the audience, because again, we were still supporting him. So that's the one thing that does bother me, is that people look at Carisha as an accomplice to Diddy, which is insane, because we all know he's been doing this since before she was born. And Cassie admitted to being an accomplice in the court docs, but people don't look at those two things as the same. I don't know if it's because Cassie got ahead of it and she told on herself, or if it's because we saw the video. And again, for those who don't understand abuse and who don't understand manipulation, think that obviously it was horrific, obviously, but they feel like, oh, we didn't see that happen to Carisha, so she is not a victim in the same way that Cassie is. It's apples and oranges, but guess what? They end up in the same fruit basket. That's just what it is. This is a mess. I can't wait to see it unfold. On the Breakfast Club, they were saying, should he get bail? Absolutely not. No bail. No, it was weird. DJ Envy was like, oh, Weinstein got bail. Cosby, I guess, got bail. I don't care that he got bail, that they got bail. I don't care. Throw the book at him. They throw the book at any other black man. Treat Diddy no different. Throw the book at him. He has been on a rampage for years, for decades, and he's so stuck in his ways. He couldn't change at this point if he wanted to. He couldn't. People like him just don't change. They don't. They don't. Who I really feel bad for are the young adults in his life, and I'm talking about the kids, especially those beautiful girls. Like, the therapy that they should be enrolled in. It's just like, to lose your mom so tragically after she was allegedly writing a book about her abuse that she suffered from Diddy, and then now your dad is probably going to spend a lot of time in jail for abusing women, for being a womanizer, for egg trafficking. Again, I'm using that language because I don't know what YouTube allows versus what TikTok allows, and you can't say that on TikTok. But yeah, these charges are insane. So those are the parties involved. And they're victims too. They're victims too. In the same way, again, when you're a master manipulator, you manipulate everyone that's around you. Everyone. You can't even help yourself. So obviously that trickles down to the kids. So, ooh, yeah. It's just a really unfortunate situation. It's just sad. But I'm happy that this day has come, especially to the victim. Shout out to all the victims that are finally getting some type of retribution, who are finally feeling like there's some type of justice. Because, yeah. No one has disappointed me more this week besides Diddy than Amber Rose. It's just like, Amber, really? Amber Rose, and you know she always says, I'm biracial, I'm biracial. Okay, you know who isn't biracial, babe? Your son. You know who isn't biracial? Your ex-husband. So it's like, to go on these tangents about how Donald Trump isn't racist and to co-sign his comments about Haitian immigrants. So in case you guys, at this point, we all basically know that during the debate, which Kamala won, Trump talked about Haitian immigrants are eating cats and dogs in Ohio. Professionals in the industry have come out from Ohio and saying that's not true. You know, that's not a thing. Whatever. Amber Rose doubled down on it and said, no, that is true. We saw the pictures. It is true. And then she even goes further to say, y'all, like, we can't make this up. She goes further. She takes a step further. She stands 10 tones down on just this. It's just stupidity. You can't call it anything else but stupidity and just ignorance. It's stupid. She stands 10 feet down on her stupidity and her ignorance and says, oh, it's a part of Haitian culture. Everyone knows. I have friends that are part of the culture to eat dogs and cats. I bought her book a few years ago, How to Be a Bad Bitch. I bought the book because I really did like Amber. I supported her, the slut walk. I love a story about a girl who comes from humble beginnings and makes something big of their life. You know, I love that story. I will always love those girls. I'm always a champion for girls from the hood who make something of themselves. It's just like, one of my favorite things. Because when, as a woman, you come from poverty. Let me turn my Beyonce fan off. I have a window unit, y'all. So it's real loud. So I don't want to put it on because you'll hear it and it sounds crazy. So I have this fan right here. And I know my hair is probably blowing, but yeah, it's making my nose stuffy. Anyway, so yeah. I really did like her and appreciate her, especially after how Kanye did her. But, and you know, the kids take 20 showers to get with Kim. But not you making Kim Kardashian look good and making Kim Kardashian look sane with these Trump supporter. And you know what, Amber, you could have really kept it to yourself. We didn't need to know what was going on with you in LA and your thoughts. I'm going to say this, y'all. Once that guy left her, because you know her second baby daddy left her for Cher. Once that man left her for Cher, Amber has just never been the same. And it's very obvious. People are, I think Ebro said it from Hot 97 in the comment section, 170, see if I can find it, that it's giving, there's some dollars involved. And that's the only way that I can explain her behavior and her support for Donald Trump, is that he's paying her extremely, extremely handsomely. Because there's no way and no reason that you would want to encourage that. You would want to encourage that. Eating dogs and cats, really? Again, ignorance and stupidity. So yeah, I want to find that book that she wrote and burn it. Is that a little dramatic? It probably is, but I feel like it needs to be burned because I'm just so thoroughly disappointed. And especially as a woman that's raising a black son, after we know that he literally put the faces of 5 innocent black men in an article calling for their execution in Central Park 5, because we know that about him. We know that he racially discriminated against black people when it came to renting apartments. There were lawsuits back in the day. We know for a fact that he's said things like, oh, the blacks support him because he's gone to jail. It just shows the way that he views us as stupid and ignorant and as criminals. And for her to co-sign that and for her to say, hey, basically he's right, is just disgusting when you're raising a black child. So I don't think anyone disappointed besides Diddy. Amber is a close second because she's really, really lost it. And it's a shame because I was rooting for her. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Blink twice. Send Zoe Kravitz. Send my girl Zoe. Zoe Kravitz. That movie, Zoe Kravitz, Blink Twice. If y'all have not seen Blink Twice, you need to see it. Blink Twice really made me evaluate my own life. There are probably spoiler alerts coming. Blink Twice made me evaluate my own life. It made me be like, dang, how silly am I willing to go for how silly am I willing to get for a little bit of a taste of the good life? Because child, don't let it be a white van that says that says rare champagne and caviar inside, written in spray paint, child, and let me get a little look, and this is the finest champagne being drank out of the finest flutes, and a little caviar, a little tuna tartare, a little beef tartare. Don't let me be a little tartare on the menu now, honey, because baby, I'm getting in that van, and then child, when they ship me off to wherever, now I'm gonna be confused. But that's basically what the sum of Blink Twice is about, how we are constantly seeking outside validation. We're groomed and we're conditioned to seek outside validation from very, very young, and taught to turn our inner and taught to turn that inner voice off. I think from like preschool, whenever we're conditioned to stop showing our emotions and expressing how we feel, what is that, like preschool, and be appropriate for the world so the world can digest us? So it just goes into that. The cast was excellent. A dark-skinned Black woman with big lips wins at the end. And we know that never happens. I loved that. I loved the dynamic of the cast. We had a little bit of everybody. We had the white girls. We had the Dominican girl with the fro. We had the chocolate black girl. Like, it was just a beautiful, we had the Latina. And I loved that, the black girl was the love interest over the Latina. Because we don't usually see that. It's always the dark-skinned Black girl was the love interest over the Latina, and we don't see that in movies. And I know that Zoe was very intentional about that, because it's just so blatantly obvious how Black women are always pushed aside as less pretty, less desirable. And she flipped that on its head. And even the Spanish girl in the movie couldn't understand that. She didn't even get it. She's like, wait, I'm light-skinned, Spanish, and exotic. Like, why aren't you paying attention to me? So it was just a really, really good film. I loved how the girls came together. We stand girl power. We stand women, uplifting women. That there was that in there. And the movie itself was really just about listening to your inner voice. And we have to stop being so impressed with the glitz and the glamour. And there's nothing wrong to aspire for better. That's not what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with wanting more for ourselves as individuals. But there comes a point in time where we have to know what our boundaries are, and we have to set them, and we have to stop being people pleasers. And that's really what the gist of the movie was about. Stop being people pleasers. Listen to your inner voice and following your inner compass. Beautiful movie. It was so good. It wasn't scary. It was a little bit gory. On a scale of 1 to 10, well, not really, y'all. I would give it like a 4 on the gore factor. It really wasn't gory at all, I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, just really good movie. I would highly recommend that you go see it. We went to go see it in the theater in New York. What's it called? It's the Cute Theater. It's where they bring you the food. Where you can dine in. We went to Look Dine-In Cinemas, West 57. It was cute in there. I'm not going to lie. It was actually a vibe. That's a perfect date spot. That's a perfect spot to take somebody that's just a perfect little date spot. I loved it. It's a good your girlfriend's night out. Me and my cousin went for a cousin date night. It was a really good date spot for sure. The food is nasty. Like, let's just call it what it is. The food is nasty. I've never been somewhere where, how can you mess up nachos? So Dine-In Cinemas, you're going to step your food up. I don't know how you mess up nachos, but if you're really hungry, like we went after work. So if you're hungry, you can grab a little something there, maybe a little pizza, But I don't, because I didn't have the pizza, but I'm just like, how can you mess up pizza? But since it's a dine-in, you kind of want to take advantage of it. Just get you some cocktails. Just have some cocktails. Maybe get a little pizza. But the nachos were bad. My cousin had the burger. The fries were good. So yeah, I recommend that. You could probably get the pizza and get like some fries. Get some cocktails. Now you know what? The cocktails and the food were reasonably priced, I think. And the ticket price was the same too. It was about $20. So I think it's worth it. It was very cute. But the bathrooms were very gross by the end of the night. So yeah, keep that in mind. The bathrooms were not the vibe. But yeah, no, it was definitely cute. Very intimate theater experience. There was only like maybe not even 20 seats in there. So yeah, definitely will go back. Go see Blink twice. Go support Zoe Kravitz. I would see it again. I don't remember what the beef was with Zoe, what she did. I kind of, like, something about Jayden. What she said was very inappropriate. It was weird. But again, this was a really good movie, and those comments that she made, it's not worth me to cancel her over. I don't think. Based on what I remember, I think she said he was cute or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. And she was like in her 20s and he was like 18 or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, y'all, I don't really remember. But I don't think they were that damaging. So I don't need to cancel her yet. Or at all. The movie was really good. Go watch it. Blink twice. We love movies that are directed by women, for sure. Deliverance. Y'all drag Deliverance. And I'm actually going to come to the defense of Lee Daniels. Deliverance was a very good movie. It was a spiritual movie. First of all, the casting was outstanding. The hair and makeup was outstanding. The costumes, outstanding. The cast of Deliverance was superb. Glenn Close, obviously we love Glenn. We know that she plays a crazy lady real good. We love Glenn Close. I mean, for him to get her in that movie was sensational. And I'm going to get to the part about the casting and why I did like it, despite the family being all black. And I need y'all to know, this is like, I eat and breathe black culture and blackness. Like, it's my favorite thing in the world. Black people, to me, in the words of Nina Simone, are just the most beautiful, amazing people in the world. Like, I'm pro-black to the core. But I actually was not mad at this cast with what Lee Daniels did. If Glenn Close says she wants to be in your movie, you put Glenn Close in that movie. And you know what else? I don't know that a lot of other women, especially black women, would have wanted to play that role because she was a demon. And you know, in our culture, we don't really get down with the demon and with the extra crazy spirituality stuff. So I could not see Monique playing that role. I know Monique was in it too. Not that she couldn't do it, but I don't know that Monique would have played a demon like that. Maybe she would have. I don't know. Because if Monique would have played it, then I wouldn't have been mad if they switched roles. I wouldn't have been mad if Monique played Glenn Close's role, but I don't know that Monique would have been willing to play a demon. But let me tell y'all, Glenn Close, that performance was amazing. Andra Day, I love her. She played Billie Holiday. I love her. Doesn't she look like Rihanna? We love her. Her performance is outstanding in this movie. Anytime I see her, she's a really big theater actress, but every time I see her on screen, she lights it up. I love everything about her. The kids were really good. Omar Epps was in it. He could have had a bigger part. Miss Lawrence was in it. Miss Lawrence and Andra was going back and forth, reading each other down for filth. That was a perfect role for Miss Lawrence, and I love seeing Miss Lawrence on camera. Tasha Smith did not need to be the pastor in this movie. They needed a old black man or old black lady to play this role, and I think because Tasha Smith, I think she would have represented like new pastors, and I think a new pastor. Even me, like I grew up Pentecostal, so let me back up a little bit. The pastor, why I'm talking about this is because this movie was very spiritual. And basically, it was so spiritual that dealing with like demons and all that, growing up for me, Pentecostal, my church believed in that. People would come in. I don't really know. My memory is a little bit fuzzy because I was a child. I feel like people would come in and act weird. and they would spray holy water on them and like pray over them to cast the demons out, child. I don't know. I went to a holiness church growing up. So I just feel like Tasha, she just didn't, she refused to help because she was like, oh, I don't really do that. I think you needed an old school pastor that would have, I think you needed an old school pastor. Tasha Smith gives new age pastor, mega church vibes. She wasn't the one. You need a real old school pastor that's going to get down and dirty with the holy water and really, but besides that, I really did like the casting of this movie. The little boy, Anthony B. Jenkins, he played Andre. He did a really, really good job. The reason, Onaway Ellis Taylor. I'm sorry, girl. I know I butchered your name, but she did a great job. I love when she's in things. Essentially, this was a good movie because I'm going to tell you two things. Why the movie was good and why the casting was good and why I wasn't mad. I know the people were upset because it's a black family and they felt like this film was like whitewashed, and you're not wrong about feeling like that at all, and that's a very valid point. I think the story that Lee Daniels was trying to tell, I think he was trying to tell too many stories at once. He should have told the story about the white mom and the mixed child. That could have been its own movie on its own, and figured out another plot to go with that. Because I think that is a very important story that we don't talk about. These white moms that have that lust over black men, these black men that lust over white women, and they have these children, and these children don't feel, not all of them, but in this movie, Andra, or her name was Ebony, and I think that's a very interesting name that they gave her, clearly says, I'm a black woman, you're not. So there's that dynamic there, and I do think it's and then we have Glenn Close, who's chasing behind Omar Epps Melvin. That's a funny name they gave him too. The white woman lusting over the black man and vice versa, them lusting over each other. And then she has the black daughter, so now she has to wear all the gold and the door knockers, and y'all know the white mama haircut that has the black kids. We already know what that looks like. Very important story. And Lee Daniels in his defense was like, oh, well, we all know that woman. We do all know that woman, but I don't know that this story was, well, not that I don't know. I know that this story was not an appropriate time to tell that story. That's a whole other story that could sit by itself. And I feel like because so many things were going on here, it took away from what that could have been. And I think that's an important story that we should tell. And it could have been a really good teachable moment. Because a lot of children, because I should say a lot, I don't know. Let me not make up false statistics. And when I see people talking about it on the TV, when people are having these mixed kids, especially with black and white, a lot of the kids feel like, oh, I'm not white enough. Well, you're not going to feel white enough because you're not white. So that makes sense. But then they'll also say like, oh, I don't feel like black enough sometimes. Or sometimes they'll say, I'm a black woman and my mom is not. And it's challenging for a white mom to raise a black child for obvious reasons because they don't have that cultural experience. How do you handle, racism? How do you handle the dynamics of the world when you've never experienced it? You know nothing about it. So that is an important story, and I am glad that he tried to tell that, but it just wasn't appropriate in this film. The second part that a lot of people missed, this film is just symbolisms after symbolism of life and how we ignore the blaring, flashing lights. Again, I feel like we've been conditioned to ignore them, but for instance, Andra moves into this house, Ebony. She knows something is wrong with the house. She knows something is going on. She knows it's not right, but she's ignoring her spirit. She's going to continue on. Then she's fighting demons within herself. She's fighting demons because her mom let her get abused as a child. She's fighting demons because her man left. We don't really get that much clarity on what happened with the husband. She's fighting demons because of that, what does she do? Instead of handling that internal, what do we do when things are getting crazy and we're stressed out. We seek outside sources. We seek outside validation. So she starts drinking, which makes everything even worse. And when you poison yourself and when you're detrimental to yourself, what do? You bleed all over everybody else. Have you ever heard that saying? Don't bleed on someone who hasn't cut you. That's what you do. When you have not taking care of yourself and your inner, you end up bleeding on everybody who's around you. And that's she's doing with her kids. So now her kids are mad at her. She's in disarray. When in reality, a big part of this has to do with the fact that she's holding on and harboring to a lot of feelings. And she's in a environment that literally is feeding that fire that she should not be in, that she knows she shouldn't be in, but because we tell ourselves things to push ourselves forward, she stays, whatever. Kids obviously end up getting possessed because, again, that's what happens. When you're going through things as a parent, you bleed on your children. So it makes sense. And when you bleed on them, you leave them vulnerable, which does what? It leaves doors open for outside sources to come. And that's what we saw in this movie with the demon, with the child was possessed. Boom. Then we get into the whole, she's seeking God and she's looking for some help. She gets the help. Her mother ends up becoming a believer and that helps her to move forward. She meets the pastor who is a spiritual advisor and helps her move through this. It's funny because I'm looking at this picture of this little boy and I'm so scared because he played a really, really good demon. And now I'm looking at him and it's a little scared. And basically what all this boils down to is that the demon shapeshifts and takes image of everyone and takes basically the demon shapeshifts and just shows her like her mom and the things that hurt her and essentially show herself. Because again, everything it's all about us at the end of the day. It's all about us. And it's the demon that's saying, hey, no one loves you. No one cares about you. And those are all things that she's told herself and that they're just regurgitating. And until she confronts it head on, looks it into its eyes and fights back, that's when she's set free. And that's really something that we could take for our own lives. Until we truly look at our demons, because we all have them. Until we look it in the face and we tell it to stop and we speak, I'm God's child, speak over it. Speak whatever you believe. I'm strong. It don't have to be, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. I'm stronger than this. I can beat this. Leave, get out of here. You have to talk to it. You have to talk to it and confront it. And this is with any spirit that you're dealing with, any negative spirit that you're dealing with, any negativity in your mind, if you're having bad thoughts, whatever it is, you have to talk to it and call it out. And then I promise you, it'll just eventually, what you keep doing it and recognizing it, it'll start to slow down. It'll start to slow down. And that's essentially what the movie was about. The movie had a beautiful message. Now, it was funny. She didn't have to say when she was a demon, I can smell you nap it. Like, that was funny. Or when the little boy, she was spraying the holy water. Ebony was. The little demon was like, girl, you don't know what you're doing. Move. Like, it was just funny. The comic relief in the movie was funny. And again, Ebony style, Andra style, that she was so well dressed. The kids were well dressed. Glenn Close and her costumes, the hair, the wigs, it was perfect. If you haven't seen it, it is scary. I usually don't watch movies about like spirituality and demons and ghosts and all those type of things because it's really, really scary. But this movie was definitely worth it. I would behoove you to check this movie out. Give it a chance. Lee Daniels was trying to do too many things at one time. I'm disappointed because now he can't really tell that story that we need him to tell. But yeah, it was a really good movie. If you guys watch it, let me know. Thank you guys so much for coming and listening to another episode of The Keidra Show. It's me, your girl Keidra, your favorite journalist. Come back next week. I'll have some more videos for you guys. And leave me a comment. Subscribe. Leave me a comment and tell me if you agree with me, you disagree with me, you hate it, you love it, whatever. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you guys. Mwah. Have a great week. Enjoy the last weekend of summer. Period.